Before she says that, I just want to say a huge thank you to Alderman Dowell. We have a very big TIF commitment from the city here. This would have been impossible without the city's TIF commitment, and that's due to.
I don't know how to say this. Okay, Mon. But every time I come to this spot, I really do feel like I'm in Jamaica. I love the openness of this facility. He's one of the early people here on 51st Street. And I just want to say that he won't be the last. We are working on some exciting things in the area. Everything from the construction of excess tennis to the advocacy around getting the Obama Library at 51st and 51st and King and 55th and King. It goes all the way down. And we're working very hard with the young lady across the street, Majani Muhammad, to open this location up as a night venue, an entertainment venue, which I think these two places can feed off of. Great synergy here at this corner. We're thankful for some investors that we see coming into the community that are buying up property here and down the street that will make an investment in the area. 51st Street is on the move, and we're moving largely because of his investment in this location right here, and to the involvement of groups like the 51st Street Business Association. I want to thank the Chicago Community Loan Fund, the City of Chicago, all those people that have worked, State Farm, the Gas Community Organization, all those people that work hard to make this community a better community. Thank you so much, and good luck, Mon.
Thank you. You're coming back for a late dinner, right? Any quick questions before the Alderman has to run out? If you don't mind. No questions? What's happening? What's happening with the building across the street?
Okay, the building across the street was purchased by a development company, a company that
WPD Development. Their main office is located right here on 51st and Indiana. And this is going to be their management office.
They're moving their facility here. It will be upstairs. I believe they're going to turn it into offices. But they're moving. So
Great. Thank you. Well, we'll let you go.
Thank you.
All
God bless everyone.
Good to see you. All right. So I think what we'll do is, without good food, it's very difficult to establish a vibrant community, because in this day and age, we travel to food. We live preferably where there is good food. Food creates jobs, and food creates community in terms of people coming to you. So food is critical. We see around Chicago that there are wonderful ethnic dining destinations, Chinatown being the largest, Greektown, Little Italy, Little India, and so forth. And when we saw that, and we bought this building, and we said, well, why isn't there something around Black cuisine? Black cuisine and all of its manifestations. There is nothing like that. And we said, hey, we ought to try to create the start of that. And so that's what this is. This is the start of that. At the very start, we got one restaurant menu. We have a wonderful garden. We have a wonderful rooftop, which we'll see in a moment as we go outside. And we have a couple of complementary activities: biking, conservation, a team that is largely local and that really has taken ownership of this. That's the effort that we are undertaking. It would be impossible without the support of our financial partners. I've already talked a little bit about CCLF, but again, CCLF was the key financial partner for us. Not because they gave us the most money, although they've given us a good chunk, but because they've been there from the very beginning, helping us along each step of the way. Mark was there, he's left, but he's still here. Before Mark, there was Rhonda, and way before that, there was Calvin. So I've known Calvin almost 20 years now. And when we said, hey, this is what we want to do, Calvin was there with open ears. And not just, and of course Bob Rose was there, as we mentioned, and there's a big CCLF team here. But the willingness, the ability, and the knowledge to take this a raw concept and help us move it forward is really what made this thing happen, and that's what we got from CCLF in so many different ways. It didn't hurt that Calvin used to live across the way in that building about, I think, 15 years ago. He tells a story of when he used to live there and try to race the train, dodging the various obstacles on the way. So that didn't hurt, so he knew the neighborhood. But before that, I want to introduce Calvin Holmes and the CCLF team that's here, and just have you say a few words and perhaps introduce the first one.
Great, thanks Bernard. It's like being home again. And that's a true story. I actually lived across the street for about 7 months. So I got to know the neighborhood really well, Sandra. So I've been spending money here for a long time. It's fantastic. But again, I'm Calvin Holmes. I'm president of the Chicago Community Loan Fund. And I want to start by thanking Bernard and his team at Urban Juncture and all the other partners he's pulled around the table, because it's visionaries like Bernard and his team whose vision really inspires us to do our work every day. So when we started conceptualizing with Bernard and thinking about the notion that a project like this could create 120 jobs for many local residents and residents of this community who have multiple barriers to employment, right? We started imagining 4 healthier foods eateries, 4 healthier foods restaurants that didn't exist in Washington Park at that time. We started thinking about the idea of those restaurants plus a new produce store or a small grocery store. And then we imagined that with a co-working space that could help 10 emerging enterprises get off the ground in this beautiful facility like this. On top of all of that, inside of the facility that is energy efficient, reduces its own carbon footprint, is transit oriented, and even grows rutabagas, those rutabagas on the roof. We were powerfully inspired to partner with Bernard Urban Juncture, so this is right up our alley. So we want to thank you for giving us the opportunity to be flexible, to be patient, and to be creative. We couldn't do it without you. So I want to give you a return. Bernard has talked about a number of the financial partners. Some of them are here, some of them aren't. But I do want to thank, and I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to interface with Alderman Dowell, but the Alderman for her leadership in helping the City of Chicago and the Department of Planning and Development invest a number of tax increment financing dollars into this deal. It was instrumental. Also, PNC Bank for being very creative and risk-taking and bridging those TIF dollars. You can all imagine how tough that can be. We had a number of other partners who are not in the room who contributed significant elements of the capital stack to push this property forward. So we really appreciate their partnership as we moved along. So you've all heard the adage that behind every great man is an even greater woman. So in the case of CCLF, we had a particular investor who believes in creating more local jobs, believes in creating more goods and services, believes in trying to create wealth at the community level, really wants to see underinvested communities have many more amenities than they've had for decades, and they created something called the Strong Neighborhoods Fund. They used money from the Strong Neighborhoods Fund to invest in CCLF so that we can in turn around and invest in Bronzeville Juncture, Bronzeville Cooking, Urban Juncture, and Bernard's and his team. So I'd like to just introduce Lisa Cooper, who's a community relations officer with State Farm, who is the power behind the loan fund in this deal for their belief in bringing bigger, better, broader variety of goods and services, really increasing the quality of life in local people and places. So we couldn't have done this project without State Farm. I just want to make sure we know that. So we could give State Farm at
She just counts on me being on the ground, you know, being able to be her eyes and ears. And so we're happy that you brought this opportunity to us. And we like to see a number of partners at the table and see some diversification in the project. So that's something that we want to know who's at the table, and, you know, let's get it done.
As we keep partnering, we'll see more of those multi-stakeholder efforts. But State Farm provided us with a very sizable, low-cost, long-term capital investment to make this possible. So we will continue to work with you on other retail developments such as this, and we want to make sure that everyone knows State Farm is behind us and wants to see life better in local places and to make the individuals and families live a better, richer, and healthier life. Then last but not least, I want to thank a number of team members. So as Bernard pointed out, we've got some alumni who have been driving this project with Bernard forward over the number of years, Mark Fick and Rob Rose. We have some current team members who are continuing to hold hands with Bernard and his team, Lucretia Parks. Wendell Harris was here for a minute, and then we've got some other team members, Anna, Cassandra, and Aaron Akers, who all are very talented folks with a lot of expertise, a lot of focus and commitment that allow the Chicago Community Loan Fund to help create communities where people thrive. So thank you. It's an honor to be a part of this development.
Thank you, Sally. All right, I saw that we're actually a few minutes ahead of schedule. And and I also saw that Chevette, 5 minutes? 15. I also saw that Chevette is here. So I have to ask Chevette to come to the middle of it, because as I mentioned downstairs, Chevette is the designer of both the Jerk Shack and of this space. And I'd like to have Chevette just kind of walk us through the space from the designer's point of view so that we kind of understand what we're trying to do here. And Chevette is not just a designer, she is an artiste, I should say. And she has many other talents. And I met her through Calvin, of course.
I thought I was an escapist. When Bernard came to me, his vision was the shared workspace. Mine is about making people feel comfortable and about how you feel in a space, because that tells me what you'll produce. If you're cramped, it's not going to work. You have to feel a sense of freedom. So color was very important to me, and just a general at-home feeling. I mean, it should be a home away from home. So that's how I started. Working with Sharon Samuels, we sat down and worked out colors and what had been going on prior to my becoming a member of the team. And from there, we began to also work with, the concept was reuse, green, and to reappropriate. So we found wonderful old doors for Bernard's office. We have reused.
They're not in yet.
They're not in, but they're on premise. The furniture that you'll see in the team's office actually was made from 100-year-old beams from the ceiling of one of the floors of one of the slots. We took it and reworked it so that it could also be reused in a part of the scene, and we reworked it in a couple different ways. As you step into the room here, and why don't you come with me so you can see? Here we're working with a local artist, Kendall Brothers. And Kendall took the beams, and he could see the beauty in the wood. And let me explain to you, the wood was like that. And it had 1,000 nails, it was very roughly hewn. And you'll find it in the men's room, and don't be afraid to look in there. You'll find that we used it in its roughest form in the men's room. We also used it in the shack in its roughest form because we didn't want it refined. In here, Kendall's idea with mine was to refine the wood and find out what the beauty was lying beneath it. And this is pine, believe it or not. 100-year-old type pine. Heavy as all get out, and when you cut it, if you like the way grass smells, you would have loved to be in the workroom when this pine was being worked. The sap was just perfume. It was amazing after 100 years. What else can I say? Well, okay, the channels here. And working with the building, thank you, Tracy, and what the building offers, we have these wonderful channels, which I'm assuming pipes, plumbing pipes or something ran through them. The idea was, as the garden team and the farm team approached me, they wanted to reproduce what they're growing on the outside, bring it in on the inside. So we are trying out certain plants to see what we can possibly bring on the inside. So a part of this next wall, you're going to have green walls. If you look into our the office here, which is our facility manager, I put a philodendron here. Next year, it begins to grow. It's going to occupy this wall. And the idea of how can we hang its height? They reach for the light. This is just about knowing your dreams. They reach for the light, calling its own in this room. And so will the plants here, and on the other side, as we go into the reception area, they'll be exactly the same. Want to come with me again, please? Lighting is a very interesting story. We worked long and hard and tried out several different ideas for lighting. And we're also very budget conscious, but we want to have the highest creativity within that. So we found something really wonderful, the Barabulb 3 pendant from Restoration Hardware. Believe it or not, when you think of Restoration Hardware, you think very expensive. These were very inexpensive, but we can only get our hands on about 26 of them, maybe. So again, I researched and we found the single bulb. Now these, a little bit more modern, but the red cord sort of makes it work. Eventually, the conduit's going to be painted out, so all you will see will be the cap and the red cord. I use these same lights in the restrooms, in the conference room and the corridor. I use a different kind of industrial light. The whole idea is sort of clean, sort of modern, and sort of very industrial.
What's the story behind this sign?
Oh, well, you know, Bernard also owns the forum. 43rd and Calumet? Yes. It's on loan, because at some point when we get down the road, the forum may be going back to the forum. But this, again, the forum's been closed 50-something years. This was there.
And they were
And
gonna
it
tear
was
down
in
the
his
building.
office, and he was gonna tear down the building.
It has
So,
the oldest dance floor in the city of Chicago.
so Bernard had it in his office, we brought it here, and the green wall is the perfect platform for it. If you step in here, I'm gonna show you another tree.
He has served, he has worked on tours, he's worked on concerts, he's served kind of the musical royalty. He's done that around the U.S. and he decided to come back to Bronzeville. So he found us and we were very, very excited to have him. So he is building the Jerk Shack Enterprise. Chef here.
Thank you. Enjoy.
How are you?